only supplied cluster munition missiles to Ukraine, but they also provided the missile launchers and the coordinates for how to attack a beach full of Russian civilians in Crimea. Former Senator Ron Paul said U.S. supplied cluster bombs were used on beachgoers in Crimea yesterday, killing at least 6 and injuring more than 100. Moscow has warned that such actions will not go unanswered. Now, is this NATO attempting to provoke a Russian reaction in order to justify further involvement? What is Russia's next move? Now, I'm not sure why the U.S. military is pretending not to be involved and then allowing deadly missions with our fingerprints all over it to be carried out. However, don't be shocked when Russia responds physically with some kind of altercation, because they're not just going to allow 6 Russian citizens to be killed and over 100 injured with U.S. fingerprints all over it. Even RFK Jr. weighed in on this. He said, a U.S. missile launcher allegedly made by Lockheed and targeted by a sophisticated system only Americans can operate within Ukraine exploded about 6 missiles over Russian Crimea and released cluster bomblets across the area, landing on a civilian beach and causing over 100 casualties, meaning deaths and injuries, including children. The CCTV footage captures the moment when the missile's sub-munitions rained down over the crowded beach. Now, the word that describes this is terrorism. It is an act of war by the U.S. against Russian civilians. Only Congress can declare war. They should stop the unaccountable and reckless hawks directing an impaired President Joe Biden. What do you think of RFK Jr.'s words? I mean, how stupid is the Biden administration? You literally do something that is declaring war, killing children, killing people vacationing on a beach, using munition clusters, which are not only illegal, but they have found 90% of them kill civilians. Usually they pick it up thinking it is a toy, and then it ends up blowing up in their hands. This is a disgrace, and I don't know how Putin is going to react to this, but this is a big, big deal. Now, you have to ask yourself the question, is Biden stupid? Is the U.S. government reckless? Or are they purposely dragging America to war? Well, I can tell you, the military does whatever the military wants, whatever Joe Biden tells them to do. On the other hand, you have Congress, who does whatever the hell they want to do. And then you have the American people that doesn't want to do what the military or Congress wants to do. I think most Americans would agree. We do not want another war in Europe. Most Americans would agree we are tired of bombing people instead of using those billions or trillions of dollars to improve our country, our lives, and to protect our own border. This is an absolute tragedy. It's horrible. Okay, now back in America, more horribleness, right? Lawyer Norm Eisen, the Trump-hating lawyer who crafted both impeachment cases against Donald Trump, has another 10 waiting in the wings in case he gets back into office, and single-handedly orchestrated the Alvin Bragg's New York trial, is now saying he believes Judge Juan Merchan will move to jail Donald Trump in order to teach him a lesson. Here's what Norm Eisen had to say. We think the judge is going to give jail time to Trump on July 11th. Here's why. We looked at many prior convictions for this identical felony. In case after case, jail was ordered even for first-time offenders. Substantial argument can be made both for and against a sentence of incarceration for Donald Trump following his conviction in a New York State court of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Falsifying business records is a felony when it's done with the intent to commit, aid, or conceal a second crime. Here, the jury unanimously found that Trump intended to conspire to interfere with the 2016 presidential election. This is a grave matter with national implications, making Trump's conviction perhaps the most serious violation in the history of the state. Now, there's a lot of lies in there. There's also a lot of manipulation, but this is the information that is being sent to Judge Juan Merchan. So we don't know 100% how Judge Juan Merchan will rule, but we know right now, behind the scenes, people, lawyers, DAs, the Attorney General, they are all applying significant pressure on Judge Merchan to jail Donald Trump. I mean, Eric Adams, the mayor, he has called for it. You've got Governor Hochul, whatever her name is. She is also calling for it. You've got Letitia James. She's calling for it. And now you have people like Norm Eisen putting out detailed reports about why Judge Merchan should move in the direction of jailing Donald Trump. Now, let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to happen? I think they might actually jail him. Now, I only read you one paragraph. This is a multi-page dissertation with, citing different cases of why Judge Juan Merchan should move to jail Donald Trump. And if Norm Eisen and other people get their way, I do believe that Juan Merchan, the judge, is going to drop the hammer on Donald Trump. Okay, now I have another bombshell story in the news today. This is from John Solomon at Just the News. Several of the 51 intel officers who said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation are in fact active CIA contractors. At least 2 of the 51 signatories of the infamous letter labeling the Hunter Biden laptop from hell as Russian disinformation were CIA contractors when they signed the letter, the House Weaponization Subcommittee revealed in its new report. The report also found CIA Director Gina Haspel and other CIA officials under Donald Trump's time knew ahead of the publication of the letter coming out. So the director of the CIA knew that this letter was coming out and knew that 2 of the people were active CIA contractors. Now, the report sheds new light on one of the most controversial public debates of the 2020 presidential election, the reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, which was originally posted on the New York Post, but then everything under the sun was done, including threatening social media, to have it removed. This means that the CIA was actively working to undermine a U.S. presidential election and swing it in the direction of their preferred candidate. This is insane. This is... I thought all of these people were retired. I still believe that they should lose their security clearance, but I thought that these people were retired. Now you find out that multiple people were active members of the CIA and that the head of the CIA, Gina Haspel, she knew that the letter was coming out before it ever hit the public, before even the New York Post had an opportunity to write about it. I swear the country is in bad shape. The economy is in bad shape. Inflation is in bad shape. Our intel services are in bad shape. Seems like everybody is working against Donald Trump and in favor of Joe Biden. I mean, this is really what Banana Republic feels like. All right, now I have some big stories to share with you, but first, today's video sponsor. Our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group, helped me with my goal of protecting my financial future. Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration does not make me feel safe or secure. But having a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver, an asset that has stood the test of time, no matter the economy or the government policy, just makes sense to me. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Now, let the team of experts at CMG help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and ability to listen makes it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all your hard work. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you already have a 401k or an IRA, or maybe you're looking out for your aging parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metal Group can help. We've put together a special offer for our audience. Click now on the link in the description below, or call the special 1-800 number, and you can receive a safe and up to $7,500 in silver for getting involved. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring today's show. Now, House Oversight Committee member Jim Jordan weighed in on the CIA and the Hunter Biden cover-up. Jim Jordan said the highest officials at the CIA were aware of the statement prior to its publication. Some of the signatories were active contractors with the CIA at the time it was issued. Officials at the CIA knew the statement would be received politically. So remember when the FBI came out just like 1 week before Clinton versus Trump in 2016 and said, hey, we don't want to be political, but we're reopening our investigation of Hillary Clinton. Boom. That killed many, many votes for Hillary Clinton. They are doing the exact same thing again. This time they're trying to say that Donald Trump is a convicted felon, and boom, they're going to try to drop the hammer. Last time it was the Hunter Biden laptop story. It'll be really interesting to see what lengths they go to. So everybody be vigilant, because something is coming, right? There's always that October surprise. Now, late last night, Representative Thomas Massie pushed forward a new bill that will hopefully be voted on in Congress. He wrote, I have introduced a bill to abolish the Federal Reserve, terminate the Department of Education, end the federal ban on raw milk, stop COVID vaccine mandates, quit taxing tips, prohibit funding of censorship. He then asked the American people, give me your input. What else needs to stop today to improve the lives of America? Now, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment. Maybe just write one thing, one simple sentence. What is one thing that if they changed it, you think would improve the United States? For me, I believe it's term limits. I think term limits would be an absolute game changer in Washington. You wouldn't have these career politicians. You wouldn't have people in multiple terms becoming more and more corrupt, more and more dug in, more and more dependent on all of that donor money. I think that would be the big thing. Well, someone is finally standing up for Donald Trump and the illegal lawfare in New York City. Attorney General Andrew Bailey of Missouri has launched a lawsuit against District Attorney Alvin Braggs for changing the law in order to get Donald Trump. The Attorney General says this is illegal. This is persecution. We have the receipts and the paper trail. See you in court, right? So basically, Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General, is suing Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Braggs for unconstitutional lawfare against President Trump. Radical progressives in New York rigging the 2024 election. So he has now started this lawsuit, and I will continue to keep you updated on where it goes from here. Okay, more bad news for Pfizer and Moderna, and maybe the people that took their product. Another COVID conspiracy becomes reality as a new bombshell study that was censored by the Lancet report has now been peer-reviewed. The Lancet report is like the top-tier medical journal for putting out new medical information. So you might ask, why did they remove this? Why did they censor it? What are they trying to hide? Well, the answer is lots and lots of vaccine-related deaths. After analyzing 325 COVID vaccine autopsy cases, the now peer-reviewed study found a total of 240 deaths, which is 73.9%, were independently adjudicated as directly due to or significantly contributed by the COVID-19 vaccination. So the highest medical journal in the land found that 75% of the deaths were directly linked to the miracle shots. Doesn't sound like a miracle to me. Now, do you think these liars and scumbags at Big Pharma will ever be held accountable? Will Dr. Anthony Fauci, who shoved this crap down our throat every day of the week, after funding the actual virus, be held accountable? I hope so. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. But personally, I would love to see some accountability for Big Pharma. I would love to see some accountability for Dr. Fauci. Now, some people have asked me, why were you so skeptical during COVID? Well, Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, is the industry with the largest fines ever issued against companies. Why? Because they lie, they manipulate data, and people die, and they don't do anything about it because it interrupts profits. And because they have decades of a track record of doing that, I was not about to put my family or my own life in jeopardy. And yet the actual virus got me, right? It got me. So you can see why I have very bad feelings towards Dr. Anthony Fauci. Okay, now talk show host Bill Maher is just as confused as the rest of us about how polls show Biden is down in almost every area, yet he's somehow still beating Donald Trump. Bill Maher had this to say. He asked, how the heck is Biden ahead of Trump in the polls when he lost 14 points among Hispanics, 43 points among Black voters under the age of 50, favorability among student debt holders, 8% of women won't be voting for him since 2020. And yet I have read the polls say he's pulled ahead. Explain this to me, he says. Well, you can't explain it, right? Like, imagine all of your bills got more expensive. All of your debt got more expensive. All of your cash flow went out the door, and somehow you got richer. You would go, okay, you've got to be cheating. I'm missing something. You're fudging the numbers, right? Like, that's what's happening. Losing, 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 losing. You're winning. Joseph Robinette Biden, you are the biggest winner. It doesn't make sense. Bill Maher sees it, I see it, and I know that you see it. Let me know what you think is happening. Do you think the mainstream media is lying about the polls to try to put out into the Ethernet or the hive mind that Biden is great? Biden is winning. Biden will be your president. It sure seems that way, right? Like, think about this. If they can normalize through reporting over and over again, Biden is great, Biden is winning, Biden is great, Biden is winning. If they can normalize that, then when they cheat or rig or manipulate the system, people will go, well, yeah, I guess Biden won because I've been hearing for the last 5 months that he was winning, right? Like that's what I think is going on. Because most people that I know and that you know, they're not putting Biden shirts on, Biden hats on, Biden bumper stickers, Biden signs in their front yard. They're not going to his rallies. Like, something is not right. Maybe it's just the FBI and the CIA rigging the system, but I think that's what's happening. They're trying to normalize Biden is great, Biden is winning, Biden is great, Biden is winning, so that we will accept their lies, but our eyes are open, right? Okay, now lastly, Trump made some very interesting comments on the All In podcast. I think you and I will find these refreshing, but they may be the very thing that has angered the deep state and will give them the excuse to remove Trump at all costs. Remember, Tucker Carlson and Colonel Douglas McGregor have both said Trump's biggest sin as president was threatening to cut off money to the military-industrial complex. Okay, here's what President Trump had to say about Ukraine. First, Trump guaranteed that if he becomes the next commander-in-chief, he will not put American boots on the ground in Ukraine. He said if France were to do so, as French President Emmanuel Macron has been advocating for, they would be there on their own. So he's saying, I don't care that you're a part of NATO. I'm not going to let Americans die for this war. Second, President Trump acknowledged the role of NATO expanding is the reason for the war. Trump said, so for 20 years, I've heard that if Ukraine goes into NATO, it's a real problem for Russia. I've heard that for a long time. I think that's really why this war started. I'm not sure that this war would have started. Biden was saying all of the wrong things. And one of the wrong things he was saying is, no, Ukraine will go into NATO. It's always been understood, and that's even before Putin. It's always been understood that it was a no-no. And now you can go against their wishes. It doesn't mean they're right when they say that, but that was very provocative. And now it's even more provocative. And I hear routinely they're now talking about Ukraine entering NATO. And now I hear France wants to go in and fight. Well, I wish them a lot of luck. Overall, President Trump demonstrated his understanding of why the war started, how Biden is escalating it, and how to get out of the war. And that's exactly what I'm hoping he will do as he gets back into office. All right, now this is my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more with you. Whether you're seeing this in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, I want to remind you that you are amazing. Thank you for liking and sharing this video. It really helps me out more than you know. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on the next video.